What was the characteristic type of seafaring ship used by the Viking peoples of Northern Europe? The longship. Which empire, with its capital at Nineveh in the 7th century BC, ruled West Asia and Egypt and became infamous for its use of iron weapons and chariot tactics? The Assyria Empire. During the training process in ancient Sparta, what action was allowed for boys but punished if they were caught? Stealing food. Which theologian criticized the sale of indulgences and sparked the Protestant Reformation? Martin Luther. In medieval Europe, what was the movement through which cities centered on commerce and handicrafts sought to obtain municipal autonomy? The Commune movement. Which Persian physician of the Islamic Golden Age was known as the father of medicine? Ibn Sina. What common problem did the countries that had fought in World War I face after the war ended? Economic crisis and unemployment. What famous words did Diogenes say to Alexander the Great? Do not block my sunlight. In 19th century Britain, what was the movement of workers demanding electoral reform called? The Chartist movement. Why did Alexander the Great ascend to the throne? Because of the assassination of his father, Philip II. What was the space in a Roman house where guests were received? Atrium. Why did Nebuchadnezzar II of Neo-Babylonia build the Hanging Gardens? To recreate the landscape of his queen's homeland for her. After the war ended, what treaty did defeated Germany sign following World War I? The Versailles Treaty. In ancient Babylon, what did astrologers use to predict the future? The liver of a sheep. In which fields did Babylon make significant scientific advances? Astronomy and mathematics. In the late Roman Empire, what lifestyle choice did many citizens make to escape the emperor's heavy taxes and control? They migrated to the countryside. Which new great power emerged in Greece after the Peloponnesian War? Macedonia. In the feudal system, to whom were the peasants bound? Their lord. Who was a representative artist and scientist of the Renaissance era? Leonardo da Vinci. What is one of the principal sacred texts of Hinduism? The Vedas. What was the reform through which Japan ended the shogunate system and moved toward becoming a modern state in the 19th century? Meiji Restoration. For what primary purpose were ziggurats used in Mesopotamian civilization? As temples. Why is the war called a total war? Because the entire population was mobilized for the war. What did the people of Mesopotamia regard as most important? Farming. Why was the depiction of light and shadow so important in Renaissance art? Because it created a sense of three-dimensionality and realism. What effect did the King's Way built by Darius I have? It strengthened administration and military power. What was the name of the radical faction that led the Reign of Terror during the French Revolution? The Jacobins. What was the name of the communist regime that committed mass killings in Cambodia in the 1970s? The Khmer Rouge. Which event symbolized the space race between the United States and the Soviet Union during the Cold War? Sputnik launch. Through the conquests of which king was Hellenistic culture spread? Alexander the Great. Why is World War I regarded as the beginning of modern war? Because of new weapons and total mobilization. Which ancient figure, the first to write history systematically, is called the father of history? Herodotus. What was the most famous battle in which the Theban army defeated Sparta? The Battle of Leuctra. What was one of the deadliest defeats of a Roman legion, in which it was annihilated by Germanic tribes? The Battle of the Teutoburg Forest. As what kind of deities were the kings of the Ptolemaic dynasty officially worshipped? Pharaohs and divine beings. How did housing conditions change before and after the Industrial Revolution? Urban housing conditions deteriorated. What economic factor enabled the Minoan civilization on Crete to maintain a powerful maritime presence? Maritime trade and monopoly commerce. What was the main reason for the growing discontent among peasants in medieval Europe? The burden of taxes and corvée labor. For what initial purpose did the Sumerians use the wheel they first invented? The potter's wheel. How was the Assyrian army primarily composed? Infantry, cavalry, and siege engine units. Thank you for watching until the end. We'd love to hear your feedback and historical insights in the comments. Your support helps us create even more history quizzes. Let's keep exploring together.